Today I'm going to show you how to make an easy loom knitted hat with a brim. To make this hat, you need the following. You are going to need your loom, obviously. I'm using the 36 peg loom. It is 9 inches from peg to peg, so like from the edge of this peg to the edge of this peg. It is 9 inches across. And if you wanted to use a different size, this is for an adult or for just like a regular adult size head. But if you wanted to use a smaller loom or whatever, you just adjust, you know, and there's even a bigger one too if you want to make a really, really large hat. All right, you're going to need 2 skeins of yarn. I'm using Red Heart Super Saver. One obviously is white, and this color is Gray Heather. You need the loom picking tool. You're going to need a tapestry needle to weave in your ends, and then you're going to need a measuring tape because this hat has a brim and you're going to want to measure it. And also, you know, sometimes you might want to check how long your actual hat is depending on, you know, how you want it to fit. The first thing that you need to do is make a slip knot. So you just have the yarn in your hand like that, and then you wrap it around your first 2 fingers. And you can use the tool if it's easier for you. You just slip underneath this side, grab that strand of yarn, and pull up like that. Okay? And then you just would pull it tight. You can use pull with either end. Okay, and then you're going to secure that slip knot on the peg, and you're going to tighten. Like so. Okay, now for this hat we're just doing, this is pretty much one of the most basic hats you can do. On here, I guess you could leave it without the brim, and that would be a little bit more basic, but I'm not going to do that because I wanted to show you how to do it with the brim. Yeah, so this one just has the basic E-wrap, which is just where you go like this. So I'll show you, come up a little closer. So you're basically going behind the peg, around to the left, and just keep doing it. And you're going to continue to do this all the way around. You'll get pretty fast eventually. Alright, now once you get back to the beginning, oops, I messed up there, hang on. There you go. Once you get back to the beginning, I'm just going to recommend you hold that there. You're going to have to smush these down, so you can just sort of put your finger in there and move it down. Or you can do it from the outside edge, or the inside edge. Usually the inside edge is easier. I just sort of hold it up like that on these round looms, and just because I could do like 4 or 5 at a time. So, okay. Now, I'm going to go back to where my yarn is, and you're just going to continue to wrap. Oops. And that happens sometimes. If you want to, you can lay this on the table. Just afraid it'll scrape when I turn it, and I don't want it to be too loud for you guys, but yeah, sorry about that. And then you just go like that. Now I'm back at the end. Well, I was back at the end. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just sort of wrap it around that outside peg and hold it with my thumb. And using the pick tool, I am going to just, it's actually a little tight. That first one is tight. There you go. But anyway, so you're just going to take the bottom loop and you're going to raise it over the top loop. And I'll hold it up so I'm not dragging it for you. And now as you go around with these larger looms, I tend to just sort of take the tail of the yarn with me so that way it's not falling out. But pretty much once you've done that first, if it's easier for you, you could go back and just do this last one here. And then it's secured, you don't have to worry about it. But I usually just sort of carry it along with me. Especially on the smaller looms, like the child or baby size ones, you know, they're not very big, so it's just easier for me to do it that way, or I guess I've just gotten used to doing it that way. Now I did want to make a note while I'm just working on this. I'll make a note about the size of the hat. Now if I put this over my head, it's just a little larger than my head, so that's a good fit, you know, if you're determining which size you need. These are usually sold, or at least I bought mine in a pack of 4. I think you can buy them individually. These are the Nifty Knitter ones that I'm using, but there are many other brands. Okay. There we go. Alright, now you're just going to, once again, move all of your stitches down. Okay. And then you're just going to continue to wrap as you were, as you were doing before. Just going to continue to wrap, and you know, using the pick tool to carry over the bottom loop. Sorry, I have to get more yarn, and I dropped it in the floor. Anyway, so you just have to get, you know, just use the loom tool to pick up the bottom and go over the top. And for the brim, you need to go the length basically twice as long as you want the brim to be. So if you want the brim to be 3 inches long, or what is that, almost 7.5 centimeters, you would make it twice that. Okay, so I'll be back when I am ready to create the brim, and I'll show you how that's done. So just figure out how long you want the brim to be, and just, you know, double it, and then just do that many rows until you've reached that length. Actually, I get to come back before I thought I was going to, because I forgot to tell you, once you've done about 4 rows, 3 or 4, it doesn't really matter which, you don't have to be exact, but once you've done about that many repeats, you can go ahead and take the slip knot off of the peg, and I usually just loosen it and then just pull it out like that, and you're going to reach underneath. If I can show you this way, I'm just going to sort of reach underneath and pull it out with my finger, so that way it hangs down on the inside of the loom. Otherwise, you'll find that if you don't do it, you're going to find that it's going to just basically become almost impossible to move this, like move it away, because it'll be kind of attached to that. So anyway, I will now officially be back when I'm done with the brim work. Now I've reached the point where I'm going to start the brim, but I wanted to show you how to measure. Now you can see basically the ridges just sort of go right there. It rolls up on itself, so you're going to have to unroll it, and then just use a measuring tape, or, you know, if you have, I don't know, something else, you can just measure it, or however long it is. You can just eyeball it if you really want to. And then, so there you go. Mine is, it's 4 inches. I like to use the measuring tape because it's flexible, so it'll go down in there, as opposed to like me having to try to like lay it flat. I mean, it works, but you know, whatever. So this will create a 2-inch brim. Okay, so the peg is right here. So I'm basically just going to take my thumb and my middle finger, which that sounds weird, but anyway, I'm just going to work just trying to get that ladder so I can reach this the last loop on that section. Okay, what I would recommend to do to hide your end is go ahead and just pull it like that before you actually move this loop over there. And I'm putting it on the first peg to the right of the starter peg. And then you're just going to work your way around. You're just going to grab the next loop and just put it on that peg. Just continue to go around. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay, and I've got about, I don't know, almost half done. So I'll just come back when I am towards the end, so that way you don't have to watch me do the exact same thing over and over and over again, okay? Okay, so I'm about 5 away from being finished, and I just wanted to show you one last thing. I grabbed the end, the yarn end, and I will just pull that tight, so you can't really see it there. And then I'll just finish it up. Okay, and then when you get to this last one, so you'll just see it just goes over there, and there you go. And then to basically finish off the, I guess the completion of the brim or whatever, you're just going to take the bottom loop and move it over the top. And you're just going to continue to go around. I'm being careful. You will have to be sort of careful with this because these loops are very loose. They're more likely to pop off, and then you'll just, if that happens, you just put it back on. It's not a big deal, but you know, it's kind of annoying to do. All right, and then you'll just go ahead and you're going to continue to work this all the way around. And once you get to the end, you'll just continue to wrap. Now you'll have to figure out how long you want your total hat to be. Now I am obviously, I've said it before, I'm using the adult size loom. I guess it's the smaller adult size loom. There's the bigger one that it'll make, you know, a bigger hat, obviously, for like a large man's head, I suppose. So this particular hat I'm going to make about 8 or 9 inches. I'm just going to see how it works up. The total length, including, you know, the brim. But, you know, that just is going to depend on who you're making it for. There are different size charts and things that you can look at online. But I'm making this, you know, obviously to fit, you know, a woman's head. It's for charity, so I'm making it for a woman for charity, this particular one. Yeah, so if you're using a different loom, you know, if you're making one for a baby or something like that, obviously you're not going to make it that long. So, you know, just figure out how long you need to make yours, or how, you know, sometimes you can just look at it and see, but I will say when you go to the end to like tie it off, it sort of loses some of that length, or it appears to. It doesn't really lose it, but it does appear to lose a little bit of the length. And, you know, obviously if you measured yourself from like the bottom of your ear up to like the top of your head, that would give you an accurate measurement if you were making it for yourself. So if that's where you want your hat to hit, I suppose. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just continue, you know, putting these loops over the peg and see. Oh, I'll show you what happens when you make a mistake. So you can see I only have one strand on there. It's because the gray went with it. If that happens, all you have to do is take what you just pulled off. It'll be the tighter one if you're doing this right now, but you can usually just see which one goes to where. I'm going to move it back underneath there. Move the gray one back around like it's supposed to be. And it could help if you just stick your finger there. It'll make it a little tighter. Like, hold it down and it'll make that loop tighter. And it'll all even out when you're done. But that will work if you're having, you know, a lot of problems with it popping off. But I'm going to go ahead and just continue to do this. And then I'm going to continue to just do the E-wrap all the way around until I get to the length I want, and I'll show you, you know, how to finish it off and everything. So I'll be back then. Okay, so here I have worked, it's actually, I worked 9 inches. Okay, and now I'm ready to bind off. Now, for this, it's a, you know, it's a hat, and so I'm just gonna gather, like I'm just gonna work around, and then I'm gonna just gather it, and then we'll just secure it that way. So I think this is called, I don't know, I just say, I always just think it's a gathering bind off, I don't know, but anyway, you're going to want to cut your yarn. Okay, as for how much yarn you need to leave to work it in there, I usually just wrap the yarn around the loom once, and that's more than enough, because when you work it off, you're actually going to pull the loops off as you go, but so you don't really need this much, but I would rather err on the side of caution, you know. Alright, so, and then I just cut it there. Okay, and then you're just going to thread it through a tapestry needle. For this, I do use the plastic ones. I find that it just, you know, these just sort of work better for this. There we go. Alright. Now, since I worked counterclockwise, that's how I will go ahead and do cast off. Some people I know go the other way. They go clockwise. But, you know, if you do that, then you just cast off in the same direction. So you just pull your yarn through, and then you'll pull that off. And then you're just going to continue to do that all the way around. It's usually easier to go, I was going to show you. It's not usually easier to go down because where the little hollow is down there, so I would recommend that you go top up. Okay, and just continue to do that all the way around, and then at the end I'll show you, or when I get done, I'll show you what it looks like. It's okay if it gets a little like uneven at the end. Obviously you're going to gather it all up. So, alright, I will be back when I am all the way back around. Okay, here I am. I'm almost at the end. I just wanted to show you the last little bit. Once you get to a certain point, you can basically just like lift on that and it'll pull the old one right off, so you don't even have to worry about using your fingers, but just whatever's easiest for you. Okay, so there's the last one, and you can see it popped off. So now I can remove the loom. Okay, now this is what you're left with. Okay, now what you're gonna do, so you've basically just got like a big tube. You could easily make a cowl or something on some of these. All you're gonna do is you're just gonna pull it closed. Cannot really get any simpler than that, is it? Before you get all the way actually closed, I'd recommend dropping the needle down in the middle and reaching up and grabbing it from the inside. So see, it's right there. Okay, and then you're just going to pull the string tight. I'd recommend sort of holding it, like pinching at the top with your fingers. And see, there you go. That's what you're left with. Now, you can flip it inside out. You could have done this actually to begin with if you wanted to, but whatever's most comfortable to you. All right. Now I would pull really, really tight, and then you're just going to thread, use your needle to thread through the outside of that hole. So it doesn't have to be perfect. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and make a knot. I will. just to make sure that it is as tight as I can get it. All right, and then I'm just going to continue to work around. If you're going to put like a pom-pom on or something like that, you could go ahead and do that and then weave in the ends all together, or you can do it separately. There'll be enough give to do that. Oops, nice. Went in this stitch. Actually, I went in part of that stitch. There. There you go. And basically you're just trying to, you know, one, make sure that you have a little bit of tail weaved in. You know, you don't want to just chop it off right at the knot, but and I find, basically, you know, I get back to the beginning where I knotted it originally, which was right there, and then I'm going to slip underneath that knot, and I'm going to knot it one more time. And then go around just a little bit more, and then I'm going to cut the yarn end. If you are going to attach the pom-pom, you could go ahead and just leave this, and so that way when you put the pom-pom in, you can knot it with this one, and it just adds just a little bit of extra security, but that's entirely up to you. Before I cut that, I'll show you. Okay, see, that's what the outside looks like. Okay, and so there you have just a basic hat. And it'll keep someone nice and warm. There you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut that string off. Okay, and this here is the finished hat. It would look really cute with a pom-pom on it, and I may put it on there. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to see. I'm actually going to do a few more, and then I'll probably have some yarn left over, and then I will attach them at that point. Alright, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, bye!